Hello, welcome to the lesson Vittorio de Sica and Bicycle Thief. Vittorio de Sica occupies a conspicuous spot as far as post World War II Italian cinema is concerned. De Sica is one of the most prominent pioneers and practitioners of Italian Neorealist cinema. De Sica's Neorealist film classics Shoeshine 1946 and Ladri di Biciclette Bicycle Thief 1948 are inseparable part of the canon of world cinema. These two films, though conceived with sociological theory on exclusion and poverty, have been praised and attacked for their sentimentalism realized through their psychological or emotional impact on audience world over. De Sica's emotional and artistic affiliation with the disempowered has to be understood in the context of his own experience with poverty in his early ages. Learning objectives of the module: to enable the learner to understand the specialities of Vittorio de Sica as a filmmaker, to follow the Italian Neorealist cinema movement, to comprehend the filmography of Vittorio de Sica, critically appreciate de Sica's film Bicycle Thief. Along with de Sica, Luciano Visconti, Roberto Rossellini, Cesare Zavattini, Federico Fellini, and Michelangelo Antonioni were the other prominent post-World War II Italian filmmakers. Apart from being an internationally famous, iconic film director, de Sica was both a stage actor and an Academy Award-winning screen actor. He had directed about 30 feature films and 2 documentary films. He was born in the Italian province of Frosinone in 1901 in an economically poor family with little social recognition. However, by the time of his death in Paris in 1974, he was considered to be an important star in the galaxy of world cinema. Vittorio de Sica's filmography is generally understood within the context of the movement in the film, the Italian Neorealism, which was in vogue in the early 1940s and ended by 1952. Mark Shale and Robert Shale say that the political battle for Neorealism had 2 important effects. Conservative interest managed to break the special relationship which briefly flourished between popular audiences and critical film culture. And political conformism impacted upon the formal and thematic procedures of neorealist filmmakers, forcing them to look for a new aesthetic directions, even to monitor how they describe their films in public, unquote. Neorealist films focused on the existing contemporary social issues and approached these issues without either romanticizing or demonizing them. Such films were made with the political aim of depicting social realities through realistic cinematic representations. Neorealist films emerged as a counter-narrative to the mainstream Italian films of the 1930s, which were pejoratively labeled as white telephone films by critics because such films depicted the luxurious lives of upper and middle class people. The Telefoni Bianchi or white telephone films were very superficial, where the immediate concerns of the common people were never shown. Dante's female seductresses, womanizers peopled white telephony films. The white telephone is a motif of middle or upper class life. On the contrary, the neorealist filmmakers attempted to present the realistic life as it existed during the post-World War II times in Italy. Traditionally, the following features are attributed to Italian neorealist films. Topical socio-political issues like unemployment, poverty, injustice were taken up for cinematic representation. In the place of professional cinema stars, ordinary people or unknown actors were selected to act in neorealist films. Neorealist films generally avoided costly and studio-bound production practices. Instead, neorealist filmmakers preferred to shoot outdoor on location in natural lighting. Narrative in neorealist films were often linear, slow-paced, without any attempt to emotionally manipulate the audience. Italian neorealism was an intellectual movement in film aimed at providing an alternative perspective to people to understand the world around them with a realistic approach. Neorealist films had a strong emotional layer attached with them, especially when they are sympathetic to impoverished people. However, we cannot say that Italian neorealist films cannot be labeled as sentimental. Slower and longer takes of mundane activities of ordinary people are widely found in neorealist films. Neorealist film dialogues are natural and often improvised on location. Dramatical and over-sentimental dialogues are not generally used. Neorealist characters look ordinary, speak naturally, move freely, and engage with situations in a very day-to-day life manner. Sinter and Curley say that, I quote, De Sica's 1940 films have always aimed at emotional heart of their audience. But it's our thesis that De Sica's impulse towards producing emotional reaction has to be understood as part of the post-war world, especially as De Sica saw. First, for example, within the context of post-war Italy, De Sica saw himself not as a purveyor of sentimentality, but as a physician supplying a stringent antidote to a prevailing sentimentality. A champion challenging an idealized vision of people which he understood to be a misrepresentation of human life and human living conditions. De Sica has always claimed to hate the heroic lie, which in preaching false notions of nobility and individual heroism clouds our perception of ourselves, blurs our connection with others, and substitutes the sentimental lie for truth. Unquote. De Sica's film Shoeshine 1946 is often cited as the first cinema made in the neorealist tradition. De Sica's Shoeshine was conceived as a cinematic revolt against the mainstream Italian cinema, which was far remote from real life. Cesare Sabatini, another towering figure in the neorealist tradition, worked in close collaboration with De Sica in making of the film Shoeshine. Shoeshine reveals the impoverished life, insecure life conditions, countless difficulties faced by two boys, Giuseppe Filippucci, played by Rinaldo Smodoni, and Pasquale Maggi, played by Franco Interlenghi, in the city of Rome after the immediate historical context of Second World War.
Ci ho parlato, vieni. È lui che deve venire da me. Madonna mia, come siete complicati tutti e due. Quello dice a lui che deve dire, te dici a lui che deve fare. Insomma, fammi una cosa, vi incontrate a mezza strada, vabbè? Vabbè, a mezza strada. Oh.
Anchise Brissy's cinematography was able to capture the dilapidated cities and people driven to poverty in the city of Rome. Dominic Chancel make the following comment on the initial reception of Shoeshine. I quote, Shoeshine was badly received for a number of reasons. Some people refused to accept the depressing reality portrayed in the film and expressed pseudo-patriotic indignation at the negative image it gave of Italy. whereas others from less privileged social groups simply wanted to see some more entertaining films, precisely because they sought to escape from that very same reality. However, the film enjoyed widespread international success for that very same reality, unquote. American occupation of Italy is represented through the depiction of the conspicuous presence of American soldiers in Italian cityscapes. These soldiers, for the young Giuseppe and Pasquale, are the main source of their income. The dream of possessing a horse drives the lives of the boys forward. Apart from what they save from the money they get by shining the shoes of the American soldiers, the boys engage in petty black marketing also to save more money to buy a horse. Unknowingly, such petty crimes land the boys to the larger networks of big crimes committed by adults, followed by arrests, police torture, forced confessions, imprisonment, and the final betrayal of Giuseppe by Pasquale. War leading to poverty, wartime black marketing, juvenile camaraderie, juvenile ambitions, insensitive judicial system, pathetic prison conditions, custodial torture, etc. make the film the closest possible narrative of the living conditions in the Italian cities in the immediate post-war context. Bicycle Thief. Bicycle Thief, directed by Vittorio de Sica, is the most well-known of all the Neorealist films and one that has enjoyed great success and longevity. It was once ranked as the greatest of films by the journal Sight and Sound. In the journal, André Bazin wrote, I quote, "Bicycle Thieves is one of the first examples of pure cinema. No more actors, no more plot, no more mise en scène. It is in the end the perfect aesthetic illusion of reality. No more cinema." Unquote. Adapted from a story of the same title by Luigi Bartoloni, the film looks at the post-World War II life in a poor Roman neighborhood where Antonio Ricci is looking for a job to feed his family of 4, his son Bruno, a newborn baby, and his wife Maria.
Fermo! Ai! Sta buono che ne svegli la ragazzina!
Piebro, frittata. Anna.
Ricci is lucky to get a job from amongst the crowd of 1,000 unemployed people, but the job requires him to have a bicycle to paste advertisements across the city walls. His bicycle has been pawned to run the household.
Soldi deve portare la bicicletta. Ci vuole la bicicletta. C'è sta scritto pure lì, no? La bicicletta. Ce l'ho e non ce l'ho. Subito no. La posso avere fra un po' di giorni. No, ce l'ho subito, se no non te pieno. E non è uguale. Sti primi giorni faccio il servizio a piedi. Parliamo se chiaro, Ri, ce l'hai o non ce l'hai sta bicicletta? Se non ce l'hai bisogna dare posto a un altro.
Ce l'ho io la bicicletta. E che ce l'ha solo tu la bicicletta? Ce l'ho pure io.
Ma tu sei muratore, sei di un'altra categoria.
E cambiami categoria.
Ma non si può. Allora, Ricci, sta bicicletta c'è sta o non c'è sta?
C'è sta. Stamattina mi presento.
Oh, non...
To redeem the bicycle, they need about 7,000 lira, which they manage by selling the bed sheets that Maria had received as her dowry gift. Rixie and Maria are thrilled that they will now be able to make ends meet and even save some money. Rixie and his son Bruno leave early morning to work with their respective egg sandwiches. But misfortune strikes and Rixie's bicycle is stolen on the first day of the work itself.
Al ladro! Che ti è successo?
The rest of the film is literally a goose chase through the lanes, by-lanes and markets of Rome to recover the lost bicycle. The cycle is lost for good and no one is able to help him, least of all the police. On the visual element stylistics followed in Bicycle Thief, Giorgio Bertolini makes the following comment, I quote, "With its stark cinematic style theorized by Zavattini and put into practice by De Sica, The Bicycle Thieves is perhaps the canonical of the neorealist works. The film owes a good deal to the Italian professional cinema of the 1930s. Apart from original innovative long takes, De Sica's cinematic styles make extensive use of complex editing patterns and short counter-shot exchanges, best visible in his intricate staging of the market sequences and in the frequent gazing exchanges between the two protagonists at the pawnbroker and outside the stadium." Unquote. The film ends on a rather poignant note with Rixie attempting unsuccessfully to steal a bicycle lying unattended.
Acchiapfatelo! All'abito!
But unlike the thief who had stolen his bicycle, Rixie is caught in an instant and is about to be handed over to the police when his son spots him getting beaten up. He comes and stands next to his father, crying over the humiliation and beatings his father is receiving. The old man, whose bicycle Rixie had attempted to steal, sees Bruno and in a moment of filial compassion allows Rixie to go. The film ends with the complete humiliation and defeat of Rixie in his struggle to find a decent job to feed his young family. De Sica himself said of the film, quote, My purpose, I was saying, is to find the element of drama in daily situations, the marvelous in the news, indeed in local news, considered by most people as worn out materials. Just like the other films of Neorealism, Bicycle Thief 2 explores the life of the working class during the post-war period where unemployment, hunger, despair, and prevailing social apathy lead to intense suffering, frustration, and anxiety. The emotional core of the film is provided by the agony and despair the father and son go through to recover the lost bicycle. In the process, the run-down condition of Rome's subaltern spaces are made visible in the markets where stolen goods are sold, the areas where the poor live, and also the areas inhabited by the bourgeoisie. The stark contrast in the life conditions of Rixi and his son and the rich family eating a Sunday lunch in the restaurant are made visible in the scene in which the father and son stop to have a bite after their excruciating chase for the bicycle thief. All the neorealist films create a moral and ethical center in the choices the characters make in the face of the brutal, unforgiving reality of their lives. In Bicycle Thief, the father is an intensely moral character who wants to earn his living through honest means. But in the face of a cruel and merciless fate, he is tempted to steal another man's cycle. He is punished and redeemed both at the same time because he is essentially a good man. His son, who has been with him through the day looking for the lost bicycle, provides what Andre Bazin calls the ethical dimension of the film. Bazin says, I quote, "The public shame of the worker, exposed and clouted in the open street, is of little account compared with the fact that his son witnessed it. When he feels tempted to steal the bike, the silent presence of the little child who guesses what his father is thinking is cruel to the verge of obscene." Unquote. The film ends with Bruno reaching out to hold his father's hand as they disappear in the twilight and head home, not knowing how they will face the future, what it holds for them.
Non voglio impicci, lascialo stare. Buongiorno a tutti e grazie. Bella roba che insegna al tuo figlio. Manco la vergogna.
Sei fortunato che hai trovato quello lì, ma se era per me te ci portavo dentro.
Vattene a casa che ti ha detto bene. Ma va, tira, tira. È meglio che te ne vai, va.
Poi ringrazia a Dio, va. Manna.
No, signore, l'arbitro ha fischiato,
Miracle in Milan, 1951.
L'ho trovato sotto un cavolo. Mi hanno chiamato Totò il Buono. Ma la mia meravigliosa avventura cominciò allorché uscii dall'orfanotrofio e mi trovai in mezzo agli uomini.
Umberto D, 1952. Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow, 1963. The Garden of Finzi continues, 1970, are the other internationally acclaimed films by Vittorio de Sica. Common man's everyday livelihood issues, rampant poverty, and unemployment during the post-World War II years, how poverty pressurizes otherwise morally good individuals to give up their ethics, and the beauty and affections of domestic life are some of the recurrent themes in Vittorio de Sica's films. Thank you for watching the video.